Is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? Or is it a balanced market? Heck, what does that even mean? And if you've been listening to the headlines, you've probably heard both. It's a great time to buy. It's a terrible time to buy. By the end of this video, you're going to understand the difference between all three markets and how to use it to your advantage, whether you're buying or selling. Take the Temez family here, for example. They've been looking all around San Antonio for a place to live, and frankly, they're a little confused because they're starting to run into situations where in one neighborhood, a house goes really quickly before they even get a chance to make an offer, and in other places, the same types of houses are lingering on the market. So, what gives? We're going to go over all three different markets with live examples of markets right now in San Antonio that are either in buyer market, seller market, or balanced market. I'm Krishna Perkins. I'm a real estate agent here in San Antonio. I've been so since 2007, and I've been helping buyers and sellers sift through these changes for all these years. So I'm going to go over this with you. Let's get into it. Okay, to begin defining each market really quickly, buyer's market, you have typically more homes available than there are buyers. In a seller's market, you have less inventory than there are buyers. There's way more buyers out there in a seller's market ready to buy. In a balanced market, you have roughly equal numbers of buyers and sellers. Okay, first up, we're looking at a buyer's market in the downtown vicinity. This is like Southtown area. This is zip code 78210. And as you can see, this market, looking at this bar here, is in a solid buyer's market. It has been so for some time now. On the other side of the extreme here is the seller's market, but you can see this little triangle here, arrow, is all the way to the right here, or nearly all the way to the right, indicating that it's a solid buyer's market. Getting into some of the numbers real quick here, you see that we have 12 months worth of inventory. As I said before, you have more homes and there are buyers available to purchase those homes. And what this really means is, the way this is measured is, if no more homes were listed on the market, it would take 12 months to get through the inventory and get it sold. Okay, so that's one key component we want to look at when we're looking at a buyer's market, how many months worth of inventory there is in the market. So on one end we have 12 months or more, could be higher. On the other end you have maybe a month or less. Okay, and the next thing you want to look at on that inventory is how much month over month inventory is there. So in July, last month, it increased the inventory by 0.67. So it didn't increase a whole lot. So not a whole lot more inventory came up. So the pace of inventory over buyers didn't increase that much. It still did increase. Okay, but not a whole lot. So that's good news for sellers that we're trying to sell out there. But better news for buyers because they have more inventory to choose from. And then the next indicator here in a buyer's market we want to look at that you can consider is the sold to list price percentage. And this is huge because it shows what the typical negotiating room looks like in the market. And this is at 90.8%. So it's almost a 10% haircut on those homes that are actually getting sold. So if you're a buyer, and you're not going to get this on every single deal, but on the majority of deals that are closing in San Antonio's downtown 78210 area code, they're taking about a 10% hit from list price to the actual sold price. What's more here, this next little piece of data below that is the month over month change in that percentage. So June to July shows a 5.32% decrease in sold to list price. So that means the month before it was a little bit better for sellers, and then it got a little bit worse for sellers in July. Okay, so 5.32% month over month change there. Okay, it's a little wider. Days on the market. This is a big one. We all want to get things done quickly, especially if you're on the seller side. 87 days is what it's typically taking to get to get a closing done on a property. It doesn't mean everybody's going to get one. I've seen properties out there that have been on the market for over a year now, and they're not getting sold. But the properties that are getting sold, it's taken about 87 days to get it done. It took a big jump in July, 17.57% month over month. Okay, so as a buyer coming into this market, you can see here that the numbers are really lining up in your favor. So what can you do with that? You can do things like get closing costs. Okay, you can ask for closing costs. You have room to ask for closing costs, concessions. You have room to get things like early temporary leases. Okay, get into the house before you close. Okay, make it easier for you to get in there. On the seller side in the buyer's market, you can offer these things. Okay, it's not just a one-sided deal here. If you're a seller, take the same information here and use it in your marketing to get your house sold. Okay, so if you've got a price, you may consider offering concessions out there. Maybe you do a small price decrease and then offer concessions looking at this list to sold price ratio. Okay, if you haven't got any bites, you haven't seen any traffic, put in there that you're willing to pay some closing costs, rate buy downs, availability, down payment assistance, things of that nature. Offering a lease, an early possession of the property, and you got to take these things and consider them very carefully. Okay, but I'm just giving you some ideas here. Median sold price, you definitely want to look at that. What's the typical home sold price in the area? What is that doing? It's actually down almost 21% in July. Okay, so take all those things in consideration in a buyer's market and realize you're not going to get every single thing that you want as a buyer, especially if there's a property that has a lot of amenities that's been done right. You can still run into multiple offer situations even in a buyer's market. Okay, don't get me wrong here. This is a very strong buyer's market, but I'm willing to bet, and I haven't gone through to look, but I'm willing to bet money I can go find some properties that have been on the market for a very short time, few days, whatnot, and they went under contract. Okay, but it's few and far between. Okay, so be on the lookout for great deals and be ready to negotiate whatever. And if you're thinking about making a move in a buyer's market or want help identifying where a buyer's market is and where that might fit your purchasing designs, give me a call, 210-260-6617, or send a text to that same number, 828. Now, if you're thinking about making a move in a buyer's market or want help identifying where another buyer's market might be, give me a call, 210-260-6617, or send me a text message, 210-260-6617. And now moving on to a seller's market. And as you can see in this line graph here, instead of being all the way here to the right, we're on the left. We're not all the way to the left, but we're still in a considerably strong seller's market. This is San Antonio zip code 78232. This is further north. This is about north central. You can see we're in that Hill Country Village area. This doesn't include Hill Country Village, but this is right up here around 281 area, inside a little bit inside 1604 there. But as you can see, the inventory numbers much lower than downtown, 4.22 months worth of inventory. That's still up. We went up 3.4% month over month, so a little bit more inventory to choose from for buyers. So we're still leaning in towards a buyer-friendly market there. It's still real seller-friendly, okay? It's not to the extreme that we saw during COVID, or in some markets like Live Oak, Texas, they had 2 weeks worth of inventory. If you follow my monthly market report, you can go back a couple of years and you can see that they had 2 weeks worth of inventory consistently. But not anymore. We have 4.22 in 78232 zip code. The sold to list price up here is way better for sellers, 97.7%. It did inch down just a little bit, giving buyers a little bit more of an edge here, but overall 2.3% difference in list price to sales price. Okay, so not as much negotiating there as on the list price as you see in other areas there. So that's still real solid for sellers. Marketing days way better. Instead of almost 90 days like it is down south there, downtown, 24 days is typical for a home getting sold there in 78232. Doesn't mean that they're all selling in 24 days. That's just the middle. Okay, that's what's in the middle of the pack there. So you still have some that go on the market, linger for a good while and don't get sold. Some that get sold in a few days, things of that nature. But 24 days is the middle. The median sold price, $394,500. That's actually down 7.18% month over month. So, in a seller's market, the sellers are still have some control there. Not complete control. You can see that it is slipping a little bit here. It's not slipping really fast, and it looks like it has slowed down a little bit, but there is some negotiating there happening on the seller side and the buyer side. So we may end up in that balance market, and so that's up next. Now, if you're a seller and you're curious what your actual neighborhood looks like and possibly your house, visit me at homevaluetx.net, and I'll be happy to send you a market report specific to your home and the competition around your home. homevaluetx.net. And finally, to the balance market. If you watched the housing market update this last month, you've seen this. Make sure you subscribe to get that all-inclusive San Antonio housing market update. And as you can see here, we are right in the middle. We are balanced, almost completely balanced, perfectly balanced, and we can get there in the next couple of months if we keep going and adding some more inventory. We'll see how that goes. It typically does slow down in the holiday season, but right now we're sitting right at 5.54 months worth of inventory, almost right in the middle. 4.92 month over month increase in inventory, so overall increasing. List price to sold price ratio 97.8%, almost no change month over month. So good news for sellers. They didn't slip that much, but they do have more competition. Typical days on the market, sitting at about 43 days on the market. That is actually down, so a little more good news for sellers. They aren't quite waiting as much. Interest rate cuts seem to be something that's on the table here as of today. That was the hint that we got from the Fed. We'll see what happens. And the median sold price in San Antonio is sitting at $306,995. So balance market, sellers aren't going to always win. Buyers aren't going to always win. We have two forces here that are really balanced. If you're priced right as a seller, you have a equal chance of getting your home sold and in a timely fashion. 43 days, not bad. If you're a buyer, be ready for some competition if you find that perfect home, especially if the market is balanced. It's not going to be, you're not going to get every single thing you want on the buy side, or the sell side is just really, kind of even. So it's kind of a you want to say happy place to be, but there is definitely room where you may be disappointed on either side if you try to bring in expectations of just getting everything you want in that market. You're not going to get everything. You're going to give up a few things here and there, and they're going to give up a few things here and there. So hopefully that helps you out. If you have any questions, again, you can reach me 210-260-6617. Make sure you're following the channel for market updates, and I will see you on the next video.